You're sitting at a desk at 3 in the morning fixing a PowerPoint slide. The slide is perfect. You know it's perfect. But someone 3 levels above you wants the font changed from Calibri to Arial. This is investment banking. This is where $100,000 salaries meet soul-crushing tedium. And this is just the beginning. The investment banking ladder has 5 clearly defined rungs. Each one requires different skills, different sacrifices, different trade-offs. Most people who start never make it to the top. Some wash out from exhaustion. Some get stuck at middle tiers watching younger bankers leapfrog past them. Others reach the summit and discover the view wasn't worth the climb. Level 1 is analyst. You graduate from a top university with a finance degree and stellar grades. You beat out thousands of other applicants for a spot in a 2-year program at Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley. Your parents are proud, your friends are jealous, you're about to discover what you actually signed up for. Your official title is financial analyst. Your actual job is Excel monkey. You build financial models that project company valuations, merger outcomes, and debt structures. You research industries, compile data, and create presentations that senior bankers will present to clients. The majority of your day involves staring at spreadsheets and making sure every number ties out correctly, because if one cell is wrong, the entire model collapses. Here's what nobody tells you about analyst life. You work between 50 and 80 hours per week, but those hours are unpredictable. A managing director might email you at 11 at night with a please fix request. Please fix means drop everything and revise this presentation by 7 tomorrow morning. It doesn't matter that the presentation is already perfect. It doesn't matter that the requested change is cosmetic. You make the change because that's the job. One former JP Morgan analyst described working on 10 different Excel files and 5 different client presentations in a single day. You context switch constantly. You're modeling a tech merger, then you're researching pharmaceutical companies, then you're formatting slides for a retail acquisition. Your brain becomes a database of financial minutiae across dozens of industries. The compensation makes the pain tolerable. First-year analysts in the United States earn base salaries between $100,000 and $125,000. Add the bonus and you're pushing past $200,000 in total compensation. That's more than most people earn a decade into their careers. You're 22 years old and making serious money. The catch is, you're trading your 20s for it. While your friends from college are traveling and dating and figuring out who they are, you're checking models at 3 in the morning. Most analysts survive 2 to 3 years, then face a choice. The top performers get promoted directly to associate. Others leave to get MBAs from schools like Harvard or Wharton, then return as associates 2 years later. Some decide the lifestyle isn't worth it and exit to private equity or corporate finance or anything that doesn't involve midnight PowerPoint emergencies. Level 2 is associate. This is where the job changes fundamentally. You're no longer just executing tasks, you're managing the people who execute tasks. Associates oversee analysts, review their work, assign them projects, and ensure everything meets firm standards. You're checking models instead of building them from scratch. You're managing workflow instead of drowning in it. There are 2 paths to associate. Either you're promoted from analyst after proving yourself for 2 to 3 years, or you're hired directly after completing an MBA. The MBA hires often have an advantage because they've had 2 years to mature, network, and learn about business beyond spreadsheets. But the promoted analysts know the firm's systems inside and out. Your responsibilities expand significantly. You attend more client meetings, though you're usually not speaking. You sit in the room, take notes, and observe how senior bankers interact with CEOs and CFOs. You're learning the soft skills that actually matter at higher levels. How to read a room, how to position a deal, how to make a client feel confident about a $100 million decision. The associate role spans 3 to 4 years. Your base salary jumps to between $150,000 and $200,000. Bonuses range from 50 to 100% of base, pushing total compensation to between $280,000 and $450,000, depending on your firm and performance. You're making real money now, but you're also working harder than ever because you're responsible not just for your work, but for the work of the analysts beneath you. What makes associate different from analyst isn't just the money or the title, it's that you're starting to see the bigger picture. As an analyst, you knew your specific piece of the puzzle. As an associate, you understand how all the pieces fit together. You see deal structure, negotiation strategy, and client psychology. You're developing judgment, which is the skill that actually determines whether you advance further. Because here's what becomes clear at the associate level. Technical skills only get you so far. Every analyst can build a model. Every associate can review one. The people who make it to the next level aren't necessarily the best at Excel. They're the ones who understand people, politics, and pressure. They're the ones who can manage upward and downward simultaneously. They're the ones who make senior bankers look good. And that's when the real sorting begins. Vice president is where banking careers either take off or plateau permanently. It's where you stop being a highly paid worker and start becoming someone with actual influence. But getting there requires more than just putting in time. You need someone powerful fighting for you when promotion decisions happen. Level 3 Vice President. Your career either accelerates here or it doesn't. You're promoted after 4 years as an associate. Your base salary climbs to between $200,000 and $225,000. Bonuses can reach 150% of base when deal flow is strong. But money isn't why this level matters. Power is. As a VP, you're no longer buried in spreadsheets. You're managing deals. You interpret what managing directors want, translate those requests to associates and analysts, then ensure the work gets done correctly. You lead the creation of pitch documents. You're on client calls now, actually speaking, keeping them updated on deal progress. Your opinion carries weight in meetings. Here's what changes fundamentally. You start building your own relationships, not just maintaining connections that senior bankers hand you. You're identifying prospects, initiating conversations, positioning yourself as a trusted advisor. This skill determines everything that happens next in your career. The VP role is brutally difficult because you're doing 2 incompatible jobs simultaneously. You're executing deals that require precision and speed, and you're developing relationships that require patience and subtlety. Most days you're firefighting technical problems while trying to nurture connections that won't generate revenue for years. Goldman Sachs estimates it takes 7 years for a client relationship to produce fees. 7 years of lunches, coffees, conferences, and conversations before a single dollar comes back. Many VPs plateau here permanently. They're excellent executors but mediocre relationship builders. They can manage a deal flawlessly but can't originate one. The pyramid narrows dramatically above this level. Not everyone advances. You spend 3 to 4 years as VP, maybe longer if promotion slots are limited. The hours improve slightly compared to associate level, but you're working smarter rather than less. You're learning to delegate, to prioritize, to say no to requests that don't advance strategic objectives. You're developing the judgment that separates senior bankers from everyone else. Level 4. Director or Senior Vice President. The titles vary by firm, but the role is consistent. You're responsible for originating business now, finding deals, pitching clients, winning mandates. You're a bridge between the client-facing managing directors and the execution teams below you. Your compensation jumps significantly, between $250,000 and $1.5 million depending on how much business you bring in. Work-life balance improves noticeably. You're working 45 to 70 hours weekly with far more control over your schedule. You're not responding to midnight emergencies anymore. You're setting strategy. Directors lead teams executing complex transactions, mergers worth billions, debt offerings that fund corporate expansion, equity raises that take companies public. You're mentoring junior bankers, teaching them the skills you spent 15 years developing. You're responsible for deal quality and team development simultaneously. Reaching director from outside the bank is essentially impossible. You must rise through the ranks internally. The bank needs to trust you completely because you're representing the firm to clients who control enormous amounts of capital. That trust only comes from years of observed performance. You spend 6 to 8 years at director level before being considered for managing director. But consideration doesn't guarantee promotion. The competition intensifies. There are fewer positions available. The people you're competing against are all exceptional. Many directors remain directors for their entire careers. They're well compensated, respected, influential, but they never make that final jump. Level 5, managing director, the pinnacle. You're responsible for the bank's profitability now. Every relationship you build, every deal you close, every client you retain directly impacts the firm's financial performance. Your compensation reflects this responsibility. Between $500,000 and $4 million in normal years. In exceptional years, $10 million or more. But if the bank underperforms, you take the blame. Your compensation drops. Your reputation suffers. Everything flows through you. The job is entirely different from anything below it. You're not managing deals anymore. You're originating them. You spend most of your time outside the office. Breakfast with a CFO, lunch with a private equity partner, afternoon coffee with a board member, dinner with a CEO. You're building relationships constantly because deals follow relationships. Your work style becomes almost unrecognizable compared to analyst or associate level. You might disappear for a week meeting clients across 3 countries. You might spend an entire day at a conference making introductions. You operate with complete autonomy because the bank trusts your judgment implicitly. Managing directors focus on specific industries: technology, healthcare, industrials, energy. You become an expert in how these sectors operate, who the key players are, what trends are reshaping the landscape. Clients pay for this expertise. They want someone who understands their business as well as they do. When investment banking revenues surge, managing directors capture most of the upside. Recent years saw US banking revenues climb 37%, yet analyst and associate compensation rose only 5%. VP and director pay increased 10 to 15%. Managing director compensation jumped 25% or more. The benefits of increased deal activity flow disproportionately to the people who originate business. The career timeline from analyst to managing director spans roughly 15 to 20 years if everything goes perfectly. Most people don't make it. They exit to private equity, hedge funds, corporate development, or entirely different careers. The ones who reach managing director possess a specific combination of technical skill, political intelligence, relationship ability, and sheer endurance that's remarkably rare. This hierarchy exists at every major investment bank globally. Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Bank of America. The titles might vary slightly. The compensation ranges shift based on location and market conditions. But the fundamental structure remains constant. You start executing work, others design. You progress to designing work, others execute. You end up originating the work that keeps everyone employed. The industry continues evolving. The global investment banking market is projected to reach $213 billion by 2032. Job growth is expected at 7% through 2032, faster than most professions. Banks are expanding in technology, healthcare, and industrial sectors where deal activity is accelerating. But the path remains brutal. The hours are punishing early on. The pressure is relentless throughout. The competition never stops. You're constantly proving yourself to people above you while managing people below you. The ones who make it to the top aren't necessarily the smartest or the most technically skilled. They're the ones who can sustain this pace for decades while maintaining relationships, judgment, and sanity. That's the real test. Understanding this ladder doesn't make climbing it easier. It just makes you aware of what you're trading. Your 20s for financial models, your 30s for client dinners, your 40s for the chance to control relationships worth billions. Some people look at this progression and see opportunity. Others see a system designed to extract maximum productivity from human beings at every stage. The analysts currently fixing PowerPoint slides at 3 in the morning don't know yet whether they'll make managing director. Most won't. Statistics guarantee it, but they all believe they will, which is why the system works. The pyramid needs a wide base of analysts willing to sacrifice everything for a slim chance at the top. 20 years from now, a small percentage of today's analysts will be managing directors closing billion-dollar deals. The rest will have exited to other careers, carrying Excel skills and relationship lessons they'll use in completely different contexts. Both groups will have made the right choice for themselves. The ladder doesn't care which path you take. Someone else is already filling out an application, ready to start climbing from the bottom.